Good morning. Dr. Glen here with another Monday morning motivation. Now, I just came off a wonderful weekend with my kids here in Nanaimo with wonderful weather, and we're out in the garden and planting our salad greens. And you know your father's a chiropractor when all of the conversation came back to bone health and calcium and osteoporosis. And I was trying to educate my kids in terms of why we plant these greens and why we have salads at most of our meals, and trying to make them understand that. And I thought, wow, what a great conversation to have with all of you, because most of us think that osteoporosis is a senior's issue, and it's really not. It's really a teenager, young 20s health concern, and I'll explain that in a second. Now, first of all, why is osteoporosis important? 1 in 3 females are going to suffer with some kind of osteoporotic fracture in their life. In men, you can't ignore this either. We're 1 in 5, so it becomes just as important for men too. Now, why is it an adolescent and a kind of teenager and early 20s issue? Well, that's when we have the maximum impact on our calcium stores in our bodies. The more we build that up until the age of 20, 25, then those are the stores we have that we can deal with when they start being depleted upwards of 50, 55, and 60. If our stores are greater when we're younger, we can kind of lose more later on in life without the significance. Now, if we don't build those stores up, then it becomes a much more significant issue later on in life. So that's why we want to be talking about it with our teens and 20s. Now, what do we talk about? All of us know it's a calcium issue, vitamin D to help with the absorption of calcium, and then exercise also helps keep our bones healthy and strong. So let's touch on those very quickly. Calcium, there's some great sources of calcium and maybe some not so great sources of calcium. The ones that I hear about that kind of make me cringe are fortified cereals. Yeah, we can put good calcium into that, but boy, it comes with some other concerns. Orange juice, I wouldn't be suggesting we're drinking a lot of straight orange juice to get our calcium. Dairy products as well. Just the natural sources, the grown in your garden sources, the deep dark leafy greens, legumes, even almonds are a great source. So just Google them. Google natural sources of calcium and you'll see them on our wonderful friend Google. Now, just as important as calcium is vitamin D. Vitamin D helps with the absorption of calcium. Now, unfortunately, I would say that we can't get enough vitamin D from our natural environment. So this is one of those things that we are forced to supplement with. The general recommendation is 4,000 IUs, international units, for vitamin D. If you're reading the research on vitamin D, you'll see that those numbers are increasing pretty much every month. They're suggesting more and more vitamin D for us. But what I can safely tell you on this kind of platform would be 4,000 IUs for a teenager, 20s, and adults. Now, not just calcium and vitamin D, but we also talk about exercise. Putting lots of stress and strain on our bones through that muscle tendon junction is also very important. It keeps some calcium in our bodies and our bones nice and strong. Now, it has to be weight bearing. You can't be out riding or cycling or swimming. Great cardiovascular exercise, but not doing anything for bone health and calcium stores. So it's things like weightlifting and running are the best sources for that. Now, it's not just about putting the calcium in, we also have to keep it in our bodies. And this is where it becomes very important with our teenagers and 20-year-olds because they're all drinking more caffeine and more sodas, all these energy drinks, and my goodness, those are huge sources of leaching of calcium out of our bones. Sodium as well is another issue. And some interesting studies, I haven't really formulated my thoughts around this, but you'll want to be careful in terms of looking at animal protein and its relationship to calcium as well. And again, I'm not saying anything either way, but it's something to watch for. So putting good calcium in, making sure that we're not leaching it out, that's the general story. Make sure that you're talking about it with your children. So important to make sure that you're setting them up well for all those factors later on in life. So have a great week. I hope I've motivated you to get out there into the garden and plant some salad greens, and I'll see you next Monday morning.